All right, let's get into it. Today, we are declaring all-out war on probably the most stubborn, frustrating enemy you will ever face in the garage, the rusted bolt. You know the one. Whether you're a pro or just wrenching on the weekend, you've been in this fight. And you know just how quickly things can go sideways.
I mean, how true is that? This quote just hits so hard. 1 second, you're cruising along, making great time, and the next, snap. You're staring at a sheared-off bolt head, and your entire project just screeches to a halt. You know, this is more than just working on a car. It's a classic story of us versus the laws of nature. And today, we're going to give you the playbook to make sure you win.
Okay, so before we can even talk about winning, we have to understand what we're up against. You know, there's that old saying, know your enemy. Well, it has never been more true than right here. We've got to break down why a bolt gets so ridiculously stuck in the first place.
So let's start with the classic culprit, rust. Now the key word here, the thing you really got to get, is expands. See, rust isn't just a color change, it's a physical change. The iron oxide that forms literally takes up more space than the original steel did. And that expansion creates this incredible pressure that just locks the threads together. It's not just stuck, it's basically been welded in place by chemistry. Now, if regular rust is like a weld, think of this next one, galvanic corrosion, as a kind of chemical superglue. This is what happens when you mix metals, right? Like a steel bolt screwed into an aluminum part. Those two different metals create a tiny electrical circuit, and the corrosion it forms creates a bond that can be even stronger than the bolt itself. It's a way tougher enemy to beat.
And finally, you've got the thing that makes it all worse, heat. Just think about an exhaust manifold. That bolt goes from cold to screaming hot and back again, thousands of times. All that expanding and contracting doesn't loosen things up. Oh no, it actually bakes the rust, hardening it into this brittle, almost ceramic material that's just a nightmare to break free.
Okay, so we know the enemy. Now it's time to plan the attack. And listen, this is not about brute force. This isn't about just grabbing the biggest wrench you can find. This is a tiered assault. It's a strategic campaign where we start with the subtle stuff and then escalate our tactics if we need to. Let's get into phase 1.
Phase 1 is all about chemical warfare. You grab a can of good penetrating oil. But here's the key, the part people miss. You don't just spray and pray. You got to tap the head of the bolt with a hammer. Not to kill it, just gentle taps. Those little vibrations create tiny, microscopic cracks in that baked-on rust, and that's what lets the penetrating fluid actually get in there and do its job.
And this right here is the absolute crucial point, patience. This is where most people fail. They spray, they count to 30, and they grab the wrench. That's not going to cut it. A pro knows that the chemicals need time to work. 15 minutes is the bare minimum. But if you can let it soak overnight, you just turned a potential nightmare into a walk in the park.
Okay, so the chemicals didn't work. Time to escalate. Phase 2, thermal shock. Now the goal here isn't just to get the whole thing glowing red hot. It's way more precise than that. You want to heat the nut or the metal around the bolt. Why? Because you want that outside part to expand faster than the bolt inside it. For just a split second, that breaks the grip of the rust.
And check this out, this is a brilliant old-school mechanics trick. Right after you've heated it up, take a regular old candle and just touch it to the threads. The heat melts the wax instantly, and it gets sucked right down into the gaps. And unlike oil that just burns away at that temperature, the wax acts as an amazing high-heat lubricant. It works so well.
All right, now it's time to apply some real force. So you might think, I'll just grab my longest breaker bar for more leverage. But that slow, steady twisting force is actually what's most likely to snap the head right off the bolt. This is where an impact wrench really shines. It's not about slow pressure, it delivers thousands of tiny, sharp, hammering blows that shock that static friction, that stiction, and break the bond without twisting the bolt to its breaking point.
So, you've used the chemicals, you've brought out the torch, you've hit it with the impact wrench, you've done everything by the book, and nothing. The bolt is just staring back at you. It hasn't moved a millimeter. You can feel that sinking feeling in your stomach. What do you do now?
Welcome to the point of no return. This is where we go when that bolt has won all the early battles, but we are absolutely determined to win the war. At this stage, trying to save the bolt is off the table. The only goal is extraction, whatever it takes.
Two main strategies here. First, you can try drilling it out. And if you use a left-hand drill bit, sometimes the heat from drilling combined with that counterclockwise force is just enough to catch the bolt and spin it right out. Or the ultimate move, welding a brand new, bigger nut right onto what's left of the old one. The intense, focused heat from that weld instantly shatters any rust that's left, and it gives you a perfect new surface to get a wrench on.
So we've gone through chemicals, heat, force, even destruction. But there's a really important idea here that we can't miss. The single most effective tool for defeating a rusted bolt? Well, it's not actually in your toolbox. It's in your head.
And that's the whole lesson, right there. Brute force is an amateur's game. A professional stops, takes a breath, and thinks. They diagnose the problem. Why is this stuck? Is it just rust? Or is it that galvanic corrosion we talked about? Maybe it's cross-threaded. Every problem has a specific solution. You have to respect the machine, understand what's happening, and then you'll win.
So the next time you're staring down one of those rusty, impossible bolts, what are you going to reach for first? The biggest wrench you can find, or are you going to reach for a moment of strategic patience? The choice you make right there, that's what separates a 3-day nightmare from a 10-minute job well done. Thanks for tuning in.